Hello everyone. It's great to see you again in today's video. Diep's life is a continuous chain of hardships shaped by heavy family responsibilities and a painful marriage. She got married at a very young age to repay her family's debts, a decision she had no choice in. Since then, Diep has had to live a life full of hard work, enduring constant pressure and unreasonable demands from her in-laws. Despite her relentless efforts, from taking care of the garden, growing vegetables and tomatoes, to trying to earn money to pay off debts, all she receives in return is indifference, even contempt, from her husband's family. Particularly from her mother-in-law, who not only shows no love but also treats Diep as a tool for the family to make up for their deficiencies. Her married life becomes even harder when she faces the indifference and addiction of her husband. He doesn't care about the family, does not contribute to their life, and is instead engulfed in drinking. His drunkenness and irresponsibility make Diep feel increasingly lonely and desperate. Rather than being a support, he becomes an additional burden to the already overwhelming difficulties she faces. He only thinks about himself, about satisfying his own desires, without caring about Diep's feelings and needs. Nevertheless, Diep does not give up. She continues to work hard to earn money and repay the debts. She plants vegetables and carefully tends to the tomato plants, hoping that one day her hard work will bear fruit. However, deep down, Diep always feels a sense of loneliness, exhaustion, and a longing for a different life, a life not bound by her family's debts and not subjected to the harshness of her in-laws. Even though she works tirelessly, she realizes that her efforts are never enough to change the painful reality of her current life. With a heavy heart, Diep only wishes for one day to be free from this life. She longs for a brighter future, one without the financial burdens or the pressures from her husband's family. However, she understands that any attempt to escape her in-laws would lead to severe consequences for her uncle's family, who have sacrificed for her since childhood. Therefore, she continues to live in this vicious cycle, working tirelessly, repaying debts for the family, and enduring both the pressures from her in-laws and her unhappy marriage. Diep's life is constantly engulfed in sadness and pain due to the terrible actions of her husband. He not only drinks frequently but also often resorts to verbal abuse and physical violence, making her feel crushed and alone. The sense of shame and loneliness within her own home is something she faces every day. The arguments and insults have become part of her routine, gradually robbing her of self-confidence and zest for life. Despite her efforts to find solace in small joys, the emotional wounds are not easily healed. One day, overwhelmed by the situation, Diep decides to seek refuge in a quiet place she once held dear, her old house at the farm. This was where she shared beautiful memories with James, a man who brought peace and comfort into her life, a person who made her believe in love and hope again. At the old house, the peaceful and quiet surroundings helped Diep find some reprieve for her troubled soul. It is a place filled with happy memories that she can return to, offering her a temporary escape from the pain and exhaustion of her current life. Diep sits quietly, gazing at the scenery around her. The sun is setting, and the gentle light softly illuminates her face. The calmness of this place makes her feel temporarily detached from all her worries and sorrows. She recalls the days spent with James, when everything was simpler and happiness filled her heart. The sweet memories of times when they laughed together, talked about their dreams, and shared their hopes flood her mind. Those moments seem like a distant comfort, warming her heart in this very moment. It's as if nothing has changed, even though time has passed. At the old house, Diep finds the peace she has longed for. Every time she sits and reflects on those memories, she feels the weight of her pain lift a little. Although she knows that these beautiful memories cannot change the reality of her life, they provide her with some hope, allowing her to continue walking through the challenges she faces. Despite the ongoing difficulties and sorrow in her family life, the memories of James help her realize that love and sincerity can still exist in a world full of pain. These memories help her rediscover her faith in herself, in her ability to endure and fight through life. Though she may not yet be free from the darkness of her present, Diep has found within herself a new strength. She knows that life must go on, no matter how many challenges and hardships come her way. Sometimes, all it takes is a quiet moment, a beautiful memory, to give her the strength to continue on the long road ahead. James sat in silence, his heart heavy with regret as he read the letter that Diep had left behind. The words on the paper, once filled with hope and warmth, now felt like a cruel reminder of the love he had failed to acknowledge. He had never once mustered the courage to confess his feelings, always letting the moment slip away, always waiting for a better time, which never came. Now, in the quiet of his solitude, James realized how much he had taken her for granted. How foolish he had been to let her slip away without ever giving her a chance to be with him. The weight of his actions began to consume him. He felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow and loss. He had wanted to be there for her, to show her that he cared, but now it was too late. The realization of his mistake stung more than he could have imagined. He wished he had spoken up, wished he had done something before it was too late. In an attempt to drown his guilt and pain, James sought solace in the comforting embrace of alcohol. He went out with his friends, hoping to forget the regret and sorrow that seemed to be eating away at him from the inside. The drinks blurred his thoughts, numbing his senses, but the ache in his heart remained. As the night wore on, James found himself lost in his own thoughts, unable to escape the memories of Diep and the love they had never shared. He had been so consumed with his own fears, his own insecurities, that he hadn't even realized what he had until it was gone. The more he drank, the emptier he felt. His mind kept returning to the question of what could have been, what would have happened if he had only been brave enough to express his feelings. But now, he was left with nothing but the lingering taste of regret and the gnawing realization that he had missed his chance. James felt like a lost soul, wandering through the motions of life without purpose. He longed for her presence, for the comfort of her smile, for the warmth of her love. But it was too late. The opportunity had passed, and all he could do now was face the consequences of his silence.
Bài thơ đồng chí. Quê hương anh nước mặn đồng chua, làng tôi nghèo đất cải nên sỏi đá. Anh với tôi đôi người xa lạ, tự phương trời chẳng hẹn quen nhau. Súng bên súng đầu xác bên đầu, đêm rét chung chăn thành đôi chi kỷ. Đồng chí, ruộng nương anh gửi bạn thân cải, gian nhà không mặc kệ gió lung lay. Giếng nước gốc đa nhớ người ra nính. Anh với tôi biết từng cơn ớn lạnh, sốt run người vầng trán ướt mồ hôi. Áo anh rách vai, quần tôi có vài mảnh vá, miệng cười buốt giá, chân không giày. Thương nhau tay nắm lấy bàn tay. Đêm nay rừng hoang sương muối, đứng cạnh bên nhau chờ giặc tới, đầu súng trong treo. Bài thơ đồng chí được sáng tác vào đầu năm 1948, sau khi tác giả đã cùng đồng đội tham gia vào chiến đấu trong chiến dịch Việt Bắc Thu Đông năm 1947, đánh bại cuộc tổng tiến công quy mô lớn của giặc Pháp nên chiến khu Việt Bắc. Bài thơ là một trong những tác phẩm tiêu biểu nhất về người lính cách mạng của văn học kháng chiến chống Pháp từ năm 1946 đến năm 1954.